Stanford University.
Welcome to Stanford. Now the microphone is on. And to this 2015 convocation. What is a convocation, you might ask? It is simply the gathering of a group, a calling together, from the Latin convocare. And we have called this assembly to welcome new students to this great university and to mark officially the beginning of your time here. And so as we gather in the beauty of the Californian sunshine, with just enough breeze to make it really pleasant, we invoke a blessing upon us all. Source of all life, eternal Spirit, at the beginning of this new school year, we ask your blessing upon each new student, undergraduate and graduate, and upon all those who have been and will be a part of their lives. May each know the exhilaration of deep learning and the excitement of discovering the new. May each come to discern their particular talents and abilities and have the courage to be true to themselves. And may each know, too, the joy of lasting friendships. May those of us gathered here today, along with our friends and colleagues across the campus, join with these newest members to forge anew our community of learning and our common life together. May our encounters with each other be marked by empathy and generosity. May we give of our best and be quick to celebrate the talents of those around us. May we seek to be a source of comfort to those in any kind of trouble and distress. May we embrace new knowledge and draw on old wisdom and seek to use them for the common good in service to the world. And may we all have a passion for justice, that this center of excellence and learning can play its part in transforming a needy and broken world into a global community of peace and compassion. Amen. Please be seated. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce the other Dean Shaw, Dean Richard Shaw, Dean of Admission and Financial Aid.
President Hennessy, trustees, deans, faculty, staff, parents, and guests. We're assembled here in this historic quadrangle to celebrate the 125th convocation of this great university. What a glorious day it is. Yes, I know you've been holding back and showing exceptional maturity, but right now I want to hear from the inner reaches of your being just how great it is to be here. Go Stanford, go Cardinal! Welcome to the class of 2019 and to our new transfer students. As is tradition, let me share with you some highlights of this spectacular group. You are selected from a record-breaking pool of nearly 44,500 freshmen and transfer applicants. 1,737 of you are matriculating today. As a class, you are superlative and stunningly diverse by all possible measures. You come from 49 states. Blast you, North Dakota. And 68 countries. 10% of the class is international by citizenship. Men and women are equally represented. 15% of you are among the first in your families to attend a 4-year university. There are 4 recent military veterans in the transfer class. Thank you. We chose each and every one of you for your unique combination of abilities, talents, and qualities. The admissions committee reconfirmed just this morning that we did not make a single mistake. I would like to turn now from the celebration of who you are to a view of the past. Over 750 of you took time this summer to nominate a teacher who had had significant influence on you. Stanford's Teacher Tribute Program acknowledges the critical importance of exceptional teachers who had impact on your growth and development. In each of your nomination letters, you described how a teacher influenced your education and brought you to this moment, the moment that begins your Stanford experience. There were common themes across the many thoughtful letters we received. Your teachers spent weekdays at school and on weekends conducting extra reviews and tutoring sessions. They built sets, sewed costumes, choreographed, directed, coached, and helped you develop your abilities and creativity. Their doors were always open, and they always welcomed you in. Many teachers took time to help shape your character by emphasizing the values of humility, civic responsibility, and integrity. Others supported you emotionally, offering wisdom and affirmation in times of crisis and joy. They spent their own money, often providing meals and fuel for study sessions. It is clear that your teachers made an extraordinary impact on your lives. They offered far more than subject area knowledge. They gave you life lessons you will carry into the future. For many of you, your teachers have become lifelong friends and mentors. In your own words are powerful. One of you wrote, "She is brilliant, a brilliant English teacher of literature and composition, but her lessons transcend the subjects. She helps us to understand. With every lesson, she shares her heart and mind wholly and without fear. And in her sharing, she gives her students a special gift, the freedom to share ourselves as well." In another letter, you acknowledged a surprising inspiration. His knowledge and contagious enthusiasm actually made me appreciate Shakespeare's abstruse phraseology. He opened my mind and widened my perspective. How he achieved this feat so rapidly is a mystery. The beard, perhaps. You also wrote of your teacher's passion for her work. She encouraged her students to fight for life in color and to celebrate the pedestrian non-events of everyday life. And finally, you shared a moving tribute. You believed in me when no one else did. As I dreamed of myself as a lawyer, senator, or surgeon, you dreamed along with me. In our countless discussions on life and its crossroads, you taught me many lessons that I will remember forever, like the importance of hard work and self-sufficiency. If it had not been for you, I would not be where I am. As you begin your Stanford experience, be open to forging relationships like these with the many committed teachers and mentors whose paths you will cross here at Stanford. One day, when you look back on your college years, you will remember those so significantly and with care who guided you along the way. We are so glad to begin this journey with you. Welcome to Stanford. Now I am pleased to deliver you to the undergraduate schools and to the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education and Professor in the Humanities, Harry J. Elam, Jr.
Thank you, Dean Shaw, for those wonderful remarks and for bringing us this amazing class. As Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education, and on behalf of the Stanford faculty and staff, it is my honor, following the ritual of Convocation, to accept you from the Dean of Admissions and welcome you, class of 2019 and transfers of 2017 and 2018, to Stanford University. Students, I know you have waited a long time for this day. Earlier this summer, you probably started letting yourself imagine what might be, how you might feel, whom you might meet upon arrival at Stanford. And then August came along and some of your friends and family members trundled off to college. You had to wait and wonder when would be your time. And so you probably read every Stanford email, watched every video, and dutifully filled out your forms. And then you devoured the 3 books, and some of you may have chatted online about the innovators with President Hennessy, but you still had to wait. Perhaps you memorized the Stanford hymn. maybe added a little baseline to it. To pass the time, you tried to create an algorithm using big data that could decipher your new roommate. But it didn't work. And then finally this morning came, and so you put on the t-shirt that you laid out just for today, 5 weeks ago, and you arrived early for move-in day just to make sure you didn't miss anything, just to make sure you were on time. Well, let me assure you that yes, you are on time. Yes, you have indeed arrived. You are here, and yes, this is definitely the place. What you experienced this morning, moving day, is a special Stanford tradition. I recently asked a graduating senior what he remembered about moving day. He said he felt smarter just walking onto the campus. The other day, I made it even more personal, and I asked another graduating senior, my own daughter, about her memories of moving day. She confided that she loved being greeted by her name at the dorm, talking with her RA, meeting finally her mystery roommate. Then she added, joking, "What's not to like when it's all about me?" Well, seriously, today is certainly about you. Today we celebrate who you are and are as excited about who you want to be. For your Stanford journey is not only about intellectual fulfillment, but emotional growth and self-reflection. We understand that you are in the process of becoming, of continuing the great work of creating yourselves, and in so doing, being of great service to others. While today marks the end of your summer of waiting, it also signals the beginning of new adventures not yet realized, of opportunities not yet known, of experiences yet to be imagined. We want to help you chart your own purposeful pathway through Stanford. And I don't mean obediently checking off requirements and musts. Finding that purpose and that path will likely mean embracing what the late, great African-American playwright August Wilson in its Pulitzer Prize-winning play Fences called taking the crooked with the straights. For sometimes, your route may be direct. Other times it might wind. There will be potholes. Expect the detour. Stanford's unique culture is one that embraces the crooked. After all, Stanford history is about taking the less predictable trail. We are different. We encourage the unconventional, those mental bends that can turn us in remarkable new directions. Remember, unburdened by 350 years of ivy, Stanford isn't bound, nor does it cling to outdated traditions, but rather celebrates the fresh growth of spirit and invention. From the outset, we were built on an inclusive vision and an expansive set of ideals that an upstart university on the West Coast could re-center the academic universe and change the world. On your sometimes crooked journey, you will find that Stanford is a truly distinctive incubator of infinite possibilities, a wondrous intellectual playground built for you. One of the turns you might take on your journey is towards service. Through helping others, you will find out so much more about yourselves. Parents, family, friends, you may be feeling that sense of joy for all your students will soon experience. But at the same time, that sense of loss, that somehow this long-awaited day suddenly came a little too soon. Well, for some, maybe not soon enough. I understand. Every September, as my daughter packs up and goes back to school, I survey the empty house and ponder how one little person could take up so much room. Let me attempt to ease some of your concern. Here, your child will be pushed but appreciated. They will face exceptional academic challenges, but also find unprecedented support. They will come to know new worlds, but also come to new knowledge of themselves. To our new students, you will have the opportunity to take hallowed paths, but also to step boldly out into the crooked. Yes, Now is your time, your day, your moment. Embrace it, enjoy it, relish it, and make it your own. And do not be afraid to let it remake you, because Stanford will change you. But sure enough, you will also change all of us. And it starts now, here, today. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the student speaker, Jordan Shapiro.
Thank you, Vice Provost Elam. Has anyone seen my keys? I think they were in the first row of the second section, right over there. Maybe under one of the seats or in the bushes? No? I just lost them here about 4 years ago today. Imagine that. It was my first day on campus after years of just dreaming about attending Stanford, and I started it all off with a rookie mistake. I remember sulking through my convocation, certain that I would never find my way back into my residence hall, let alone my place at Stanford. But finding your place here is so much more than holding on to the keychain in your pocket. It's about holding on to your core values while letting go of your inhibitions just enough to explore the expansive resources all around you. Over the next years, Stanford will provide you the opportunity of a lifetime, the opportunity to forge your unique path. My first lesson in forging my own path was learning that I didn't need to have a clear plan to be happy. I applied to Stanford convinced that I was a combiner, someone who would always be intrigued by the connections between different studies. But realizing that goal freshman year was more difficult than I had expected. I struggled to find my interdisciplinary muse and was interested in so many fields that I could not determine what made me truly passionate. I ended up realizing that my indecision could be an asset instead of a burden, and so I started to design an interdisciplinary track towards the bioengineering major. But it wasn't until later in my Stanford career that I learned another important lesson. Being myself at Stanford would require me to take risks and be vulnerable. And so I decided to get outside of my comfort zone by spending time abroad. My experiences with Stanford's programs in Beijing, Madagascar, Madrid, and Tasmania opened my eyes to appreciate the vast world around me. I studied Chinese language, art history, island biogeography, and more. And by being in such different contexts, I started to narrow in on who I was. I had gone from a lost freshman to Jordan, the globally focused, key-losing bioengineer. Taking these risks encouraged me to continue trying new things throughout my Stanford career. I went on to explore everything from theater and classics to journalism and student government. I was rapidly compiling and combining my seemingly disparate interests and started to find fields that inspired me to want to change the world. My curiosity drove me to become a student of the Silicon Valley through my master's program in entrepreneurship. The more I expanded my academic interests, the more I felt like I was contributing while staying true to the combiner I had always tried to be. Although all of this exploration confused my advisors, mentors, and parents, it was really what made me feel like I finally had found my place here at Stanford. You see, I might never be the best engineer, the best actor, or the best Chinese speaker, but I can imagine that I am the only student in Stanford's history to have the exact combination of interests that makes me who I am today. In other words, the thing that each and every one of us can be the best at is being our authentic self. While for me, that meant being a theater-obsessed, entrepreneurially minded, globally focused, key-losing bioengineer, we all tread our own paths here at Stanford. You started yours the first time you stepped foot onto campus. Whether your path be muddled or clear, busy or simplistic, full of classes or hangouts or meetings or workouts, it will most certainly be unique. You will have your personal take on Stanford. So to those of you who did lose your keys today, and yes, there's always at least one of you, know that Convocation is just the start to a long journey of holding on to some things and letting go of others. Class of 2019 and transfers, it's time to trust yourselves, take the risk, and discover all of the opportunities that are offered here in your new home. Welcome to the farm. It is now my privilege to introduce Stanford President John Hennessy.
Thank you, Jordan. That speech was both inspiring and very clever. Parents, transfer students, and members of the class of 2019, good afternoon and welcome to Stanford University. This fall, we begin the celebration of Stanford's 125th year, and there will be a variety of anniversary events through the next year. But today, we celebrate the very special arrival of the 125th class to come to this university. Congratulations. When Stanford first opened its doors in 1891, the enrolled student body included not only freshmen, but students transferring from other colleges, and in fact, students coming from around the world, just as it does today. For the past 15 years, I have welcomed a new class to Stanford. And for many of those years, I used my summer reading about historical figures as a framework to offer thoughts about the Stanford experience. And since this is my last opportunity to address an incoming class, I've chosen insights from 9 of those individuals. Don't worry, it's not an hour-long speech. Those individuals, Theodore Roosevelt, Charles Darwin, Nelson Mandela, George Washington, Peter the Great, Sarah Josephine Baker, Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln, and Steve Jobs. I hope some of these thoughts will stimulate your thinking about your time here at Stanford. Although there have been many changes since that first class entered this quad 125 years ago, many of the questions confronting young people about their education are timeless. How do I find my passion? What am I really good at? How can I make the most of my time here? And of course, the perennial, has anyone seen my keys? I can, however, offer a few suggestions based on my 38 years as a member of this university community. When I welcomed the class of 2008, I talked about Theodore Roosevelt, the first president actually to visit Stanford University. Roosevelt started his college journey with a handicap. Stanford had not yet been founded, so he settled for Harvard. But when he arrived at college, he had 2 of the characteristics we value most in students: curiosity and a passion for learning. Indeed, his entire life was an intellectual journey, just as we hope yours will be. As a young man, Roosevelt pursued many interests, and that broad knowledge came in handy, because he certainly could not have predicted what was ahead. As a young state assemblyman, he supported a political reformer for president, which cost him his position. He was unsuccessful as a rancher in the Dakotas and as a candidate for mayor of New York. And he was almost fired as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Despite those setbacks, at the age of 40, he became one of the youngest governors ever of New York State. And when the vice presidential candidate died during President McKinley's re-election campaign, Roosevelt became a reluctant vice presidential candidate. After McKinley's assassination, the unlikely vice president became the President of the United States. Like Roosevelt, you must prepare yourself. Opportunities rarely come on your schedule. Remember that, like Roosevelt, your undergraduate education is more than a ticket to your first job. It is an opportunity to develop the skills of being a lifelong learner. It is a foundation for your entire life. In 2009, Charles Darwin was my subject. Now, all of us know Darwin as a great scientist and the primary discoverer of evolution. But he started as a medical student at Edinburgh, and he dropped out because he hated dissection. He transferred to Cambridge and began studying for the ministry. Alas, he hated that as well. Then he met Professor John Henslow, who encouraged his interest in science. Henslow introduced him to many other scientists and later recommended Darwin for his transformative trip on the HMS Beagle. I hope you learned from Darwin's experience. Alumni have told us that getting to know a faculty member personally was one of the most rewarding aspects of their Stanford experience. Our faculty have a passion for learning and a desire to share their knowledge. Get to know them outside of the classroom as well. While I love presenting to a packed classroom, my greatest enjoyment comes when a student comes to visit my office to talk about research, ask career advice, or seek help on a difficult topic. Who knows, will you all find your John Henslow? Nelson Mandela inspired me in 2010. His autobiography, A Tale of Resilience, Determination, and Justice, also has remarkable lessons about human relations. For example, as Mandela counseled fellow activists in prison, he came to know a number of his white jail keepers. They became sympathetic to his cause and saw the injustice both in apartheid and in Mandela's imprisonment. Mandela wrote, "This is precisely why the National Party was violently opposed to all forms of integration. Familiarity would not breed contempt, but understanding and even, eventually, harmony." Over the next few years, you will get to know students whose backgrounds, cultures, or beliefs are different from yours. You will find that your values and sometimes your prejudices are challenged. I hope you will discover a new understanding and appreciation for the pluralistic society in which we live and find constructive ways to contribute. The opportunity to learn from your fellow students is an important part of a Stanford education. Appreciating differences, ensuring equality, and valuing others are characteristics that this country and the world need. Today, you join a university community bound by its commitment to high ideals and to respect for individuals and their ideas. Some years ago, when I spoke to students about George Washington, I cited his leadership of the Continental Army and how he embraced a new set of values. He treated the enlisted men as peers, addressing them as gentlemen. This was at a time when the class structure was used everywhere in European armies. Washington believed in equality and meritocracy, promoting men who proved their worth through accomplishment rather than through family connections. At Stanford, merit is the basis for recognition. And this is a community dedicated to the pursuit of truth, knowledge, and understanding. These principles are a long part of the university's history. They were established first by Jane and Leland Stanford, who after their only son's death at the age of 15, founded this university to benefit other people's children, and as it says in the founding grant, to exercise an influence on behalf of humanity and civilization. They were founded by Stanford's first president, David Starr Jordan, who chose the motto, "The wind of freedom blows," to remind us all of the importance and the privilege of free and open inquiry. And by Stanford's first faculty and students, who together in 1896 created the fundamental standard, which emphasizes personal integrity and respect for every member of the community. Students, you are also growing up in a time of rapid globalization, and it is important to learn from others who have been open to new ideas from elsewhere. Consider Peter the Great. He transformed Russia from a backward, introverted, rural, and medieval country to a more modern, urban participant on the world stage. One of the events that most shaped Peter's life was the so-called Great Embassy, his year-long tour of Europe, traveling largely incognito, meeting people and observing different societies. As a result, he foresaw the importance of creating a navy and a merchant fleet for Russia. Russia had rarely ventured on the open seas and lacked the skills needed to build ocean-going vessels. So Peter, the Tsar of all Russia, spent a year in Holland learning how to construct a ship, engaging in manual labor with axes, chisels, and hammers. Those skills were later used to construct Russia's first large-scale boatyard. Today, an international perspective is more important than ever, and the Bing Overseas Studies program provides opportunities for immersive educational experiences in many countries outside the United States. Of course, few have gone on many of those experiences as Jordan has, but it is a great opportunity, one I hope you consider. There are also opportunities for experiential learning through internships at Stanford in Washington and Stanford in New York, as well as a variety of locations here on campus. And courses from the arts to engineering provide opportunities to learn by doing. Many of our students have an interest in public service. Dr. Josephine Baker, the subject of my address last year, lived a remarkable life of public service. How did she become committed to public service? Well, as a young girl, she did not dream of becoming a doctor. But when she was 16, both her father and her older brother died of typhoid. She decided to pursue a career in medicine. While in medical school, she learned of the appalling infant mortality rates and focused her life on improving children's health. Later, she started the first children's public health programs in New York, and today is credited with saving the lives of approximately 80,000 children. Stanford's commitment to service is long-standing, and many of you will be interested in pursuing such things. The Haas Center for Public Service at Stanford offers extensive opportunities for service learning, locally, nationally, and internationally. This year, we are launching Cardinal Service, a new program to expand the opportunities in service learning. Cardinal Service includes both Cardinal courses, which apply classroom learning to real-world social problems, and Cardinal Quarters, which are full-time, immersive, quarter-long service experiences. I encourage you to consider service learning as part of your Stanford experience. In 2011, I focused on Benjamin Franklin and the joys of learning, discovery, and invention. Franklin was a writer, entrepreneur, diplomat, and scientist, and his list of inventions is absolutely amazing. From the Franklin stove to the glass harmonica, from bifocals to the lightning rod. His inventions were based on his own research on electricity, sound, and light. Although he founded a university and one of the country's great learned societies, he himself did not have a formal education. Fortunately, you have chosen to attend a university that excels in teaching and research. At Stanford, you can take courses that explore the frontiers of fields, and you can contribute to that process of discovery. Taking part in the creation of new knowledge is a rewarding and life-altering experience. Just ask Benjamin Franklin. Personal growth involves not only risking failure, but overcoming adversity. Abraham Lincoln, in one of his first tries for political office, failed to unseat Stephen Douglas in a hotly contested Senate election. It was not, however, a wasted effort. Douglas was known for his debating skills, and through those debates, Lincoln honed his rhetorical skills and strengthened his arguments against slavery. Those experiences set the stage for his later presidential campaign. Lincoln, Roosevelt, Washington, Darwin, Franklin, Baker, Mandela, and Peter the Great all experienced failure. But we know them today because they learned and overcame the adversity they faced. So experiment. Take some risks. Challenge yourself with courses in subjects that are new to you. And should you not succeed, don't become disillusioned. The only people I know who succeed at everything they undertake are those who are timid in setting their goals. Instead, learn from your setbacks. Several years ago, I spoke about Steve Jobs and how he overcame several failures, but never lost his passion for changing the world. In his 2005 commencement speech given here at Stanford, Steve said, "When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, 'If you live each day as if it were your last, someday you'll most certainly be right.'" He continued, "Since then, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?" And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Steve was determined to live a life he felt passionate about. Facing a cancer diagnosis simply reinforced his determination. As he's told our graduates, your time is limited. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. So today, our request of you is simple. We ask that you become an enthusiastic member of this academic community. We ask that you have the determination and conviction to make these years a springboard to a life lived with passion and commitment. Find something you love doing. You'll be better at it, and the challenges that await you later in life will be easier. Ask your parents for guidance by all means. But remember, it is your passion you have to discover. Your parents already have theirs. Students, I hope that your time here transforms your lives, just as it has transformed the lives of so many alumni. And I hope it will provide a foundation for you to make your contributions to the world and the generations that follow. To all our new students and their families, welcome to the farm, welcome to the Stanford community, and thank you for joining us today. And now please join me in welcoming our student soloists, Hannah Foe and Preston Lim, who will lead us in singing the Stanford hymn.
Please rise for the Stanford alma mater. Hail, Stanford, hail.
We will sing twice. First, we'll sing it on our own, and then we'll invite you to join us. The words to the song are in the booklet.
Where the rolling foothills rise up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies in the sunset fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices, hailing thee, our alma mater. From the foothills to the bay, it shall ring as we sing. It shall ring and float away. Hail, Stanford, hail. Hail, Stanford, hail.
Now please join us as we sing it again.
Where the rolling foothills rise up towards mountains higher, where at eve the coast range lies in the sunset fire, flushing deep and paling. Here we raise our voices, hailing thee, our alma mater. From the foothills to the bay, it shall ring as we sing. It shall ring and float away. Hail, Stanford, hail. Hail, Stanford, hail.
Please remain standing for the benediction.
I saw some of you lip syncing on that. You'll have lots more practice. Source of light and life at this brightly filled moment of anticipation and beginning, shape our hearts as surely as our minds around the common good. Grant us generosity of welcome, the simple kindness to make room in our lives for others. We hope for the opportunity of friendship that will quicken our sense of a remarkably diverse human family. Grant us generosity of intellect to inhabit our doubts long enough to befriend them, to listen to those with whom we disagree, long enough to learn from them. Give us the wisdom of humor and humility to take ourselves lightly, to live slowly and simply, as though our worth did not finally depend upon our work. Give us generous hearts when we think of the place we come from, home. It was a place we couldn't wait to leave, but one we have already begun to miss. May we remember today and in the days to come, life is brilliant. Life is difficult. Let our kindness be swift and our perspective broad. We ask your blessing upon all of us gathered here, upon Stanford University, and all those who have sustained it and passed on its good heritage to us. Amen.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.